But I think we should start with what's making me physically ill the entire week. Because Gage, as you know, I've been like bedridden for 3 days, Monday through
Yeah.
Wednesday. Ever since that Eagles win, I don't think it's a coincidence. I've been bed, sick as a dog. I couldn't get up. My head was hurting. My throat was hurting. My chest was in pain. I was like, I can't live with this. I had to see a Jalen Hurts MVP. Oh my goodness. I was not prepared for that. I was not. I was not. And I got to give credit where credit is due. You and Jordan picked the Eagles to win this game. And I decided to ride with my Kansas City Chiefs. And though I don't regret it, damn, it bit me in the ass, man. It really did.
Well, that's the thing, bro. Is props to the Chiefs for even making it to this point. Three-peating is insanely hard in any sport, but in football, to maintain that level of continuity on a 53-man roster for 3 straight years and also be competitive enough to win a Super Bowl, beat the other best team in the league 3 straight years in a row, and obviously beating a path of teams in the playoffs, it's hard. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. So I got to give the Chiefs credit on that, even though they didn't play their best game. The fact that they were there, I mean, also I want to say the game shut up all narratives that the Chiefs are helped by the refs. Can we agree
Yeah.
there? That's
Yeah.
the one thing that I loved to see. Like, as much as I like the Chiefs, I like Patrick Mahomes, I was getting really tired of that narrative and seeing it kind of maybe not shut the door finally on it, because I feel like people are still going to be talking about it next season. But this kind of, for me, is like, we can look back at this game and say there are a lot of calls that didn't go Kansas City's way. But in a lot of the situations where it did go their way, it's the same thing for what the other team had to do. Just keep playing better than the other team. And that's exactly what Philly did. They were outclassing Kansas City on both sides of the ball. And I mean, the score reflected it, bro. I don't think Patrick Mahomes they didn't score their first touchdown until the second half.
Yeah, bro, like the end of the third quarter. Dog, they were so like outmatched and outgunned. I gotta give credit where credit is due. I know I said this. This is a more dominant win. This might be the most dominant Super Bowl win I've ever seen. This is more dominant than what Seattle did to the Broncos. This is more dominant than what I
What the
saw
Broncos did to the Panthers.
what the Broncos did to the Panthers, what the Bucks did to the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs had no breathing room for about 3 quarters when the game was done. Fourth quarter, when the Eagles are basically putting their celebratory hats on and T-shirts, was when the Chiefs started doing some shit. And I find it really interesting. I think the first like 3 or 4 drives, I think the Chiefs only ran the ball one time. And I think they played right into Philly's hands. The fact that Philly was able to rush 4 and basically have everybody in coverage. I've never seen Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes look the way that they did.
Yeah, they both look flustered. Like, they just did not know what they were doing. And again, that's a credit to Philly's defense, bro. They were rushing 4 all night and getting pressure. They were getting sacks. They were making Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. And with all those guys in coverage, it was just bound to happen, man. And what's crazy about this Philly win is that Saquon didn't even play all that great. Like, Kansas City's defense did a good job of containing his rushing attack.
Dog,
And
they did a great job. That's the whole time the whole first time I'm like, okay, they got Saquon contained, and the score kept going up. Pat Mahomes did 2 of. Can we just like? I don't think the GOAT debate is over, right? With Pat Mahomes, I think he got plenty of time to catch Brady, but that was easily the worst game of Pat Mahomes' career. Easily, I always say that his AFC Championship game where he choked against the Cincinnati Bengals at home was his worst game. This beat it. This beat it. He was awful this game. Both interceptions. He doesn't see Cooper DeJean standing in white CB1. He don't see him standing in the middle of the field. It blows my mind. Then when the defense finally gets you a stop, right? Yeah, it's 17-0, but cool. You got about a minute and a half left. You're gonna get the ball coming out of half. All you have to do, I say all you have to do, like it's easier said than done. You got a minute and a half. Go down the field, get some points. You're going to get the ball coming out the half, and it's still a ball game. Brother, you're in the 10-yard line, and you throw an interception.
Yeah.
To Zach Vaughn. The game was done there. I remember sitting in the living room with my family. I was like, "Oh, that's ball game." The minute he threw that pick, I knew it was over. Like that was just such a terrible game by him, man. 15, man. I trusted you, and you let me down that day. Oof.
Hey, we did see history though. A cornerback, I think the first ever white cornerback to score a pick six in the Super Bowl. So
On Black History Month
being
too.
made in Black History Month is insane.
Oh, brother, we're cooked. We're so cooked.
Yeah.
We're so good.
Hey, but this leads me to the main point about this and why. I think I'm going to take a little victory lap for this Eagles Super Bowl is because a lot of the naysayers said that in order for the Eagles to win this game, they were going to need Jalen Hurts to play well. And yes, he got some help from the defense, but Jalen made throws when it mattered. He made some beautiful throws to Devonta Smith, to A.J. Brown. I think he had one to who they just trade for this offseason?
Jahan Dotson.
John Dotson. He had one to Dotson.
Irony, right? I've been kicking they back in for doing that trade for Dotson.
I was actually about to text
irony.
you when that happened. I was about to say, like, that is so crazy. We had been talking about, man, he hadn't made an impact all year after they traded for him. Relatively high pick a couple years back. And hey, look at that. Makes a huge play on the biggest stage. But listen, my whole agenda with Jalen Hurts was just to get some respect on his name. I'm not here to spread an agenda that he's a top 5 quarterback or that he's more talented than Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. We all know that's not true. But when push comes to shove and you need Jalen to give you good or average to good or great quarterback play, he is that. He to me doesn't give you that many just horrible performances that you can't overcome it, you know? So I just want people to put respect on Jalen Hurts' name. I think he is a top 15 quarterback. And if you don't think he's a top 15 quarterback, look at the resumes and look at what he has done for team success. And again, he's going to benefit a little bit from being with the Philadelphia Eagles organization. But again, Carson Wentz couldn't do it. He was an MVP candidate. And I think only had 1 or 2 winning seasons and then kind of fell off a bridge. That's not what we've seen from Jalen. And I don't think we're going to see that from Jalen.
I got to eat a little bit of humble pie as well with Jalen. I've been one of Jalen Hurts' biggest haters. Still am. That won't change. But he balled out. Don't get me wrong. That interception he threw was terrible. But when you threw for, how much did he throw for? 300-something
like
yards?
Something like that, yeah. That's Cox sources.
Cox sources. When he threw for how many yards he did, he threw for 221, only had 5 incompletions, ran for another 72 with a touchdown. So basically, more or less, he gave you like 290 yards with 3 touchdowns and an interception. That's pretty good ball right there. Especially Pat Mahomes playing how bad he did. He played better than Pat Mahomes on that day. And not many quarterbacks can say that, especially come playoff time. And I got to give credit where credit's due. And I'm going to take it a step further. I think Jalen Hurts is cementing himself as a top 10 quarterback. Because I'm with you. I got to be consistent in my argument.
Hold on. Dude, I never would have thought I would hear those words from you. I'm actually going to clip this, and this is going to be one of the clips that we use on Instagram.
Oh my gosh. Enough.
This is my victory lap.
No, for sure. And as a former Cowboys fan, this makes me sick. This makes me sick because he balled out. He balled out in that game. Pretty much, minus that interception, the entire game he balled out. And this wasn't a situation like last Super Bowl where his fumble directly resulted in 7 points and them losing that ball game. The interception had no bearing. Yes, because the defense was so elite. I probably put it on the best defensive performance I've ever seen any defense do in a Super Bowl. But he did his job when it mattered the most. And I got to give credit where credit's due. Because you have some quarterbacks like What If Man and others that come playoff time or come any semblance of any important game, they are MIA.
Okay.
And Jalen Hurts, at the very least, he's shown that he is a body. Even though he might not have the physical traits as far as throwing the football that other quarterbacks have, I feel like as far as intangibles, as far as his rushing ability, as far as just being an overall gamer, making the right plays towards the end of the game, he has that. He really has that. And so he is a top 10 quarterback for me.
Wow. This is a big moment for me. And I think for anyone who watches the podcast, you know how big of a moment, a monumental moment this is for the pod, because and we've had a lot of people on this podcast who were not Jalen Hurts supporters, including my brother Dylan, who is still on the train. Even after they won the Super Bowl, he sends me a list and sends me a list of 17 quarterbacks he thinks.
No, he sent me
better.
that list too, and I was gonna ride with him. But some of those names, like he was talking about Drake May is better than him. I said,
oh my God. Caleb
Williams, who did not have that good of a season, not one bit. Who else did he say on that list?
Does he have more potential than Jalen? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and obviously say he doesn't. He was the number 1 overall pick, a generational talent. But let's go off of right now, this year.
But then again, Jalen Hurts. But then even if you do the potential thing, Jalen Hurts, how many people can say they were an MVP runner-up and a Super Bowl MVP and an NFL champion?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I don't know if Caleb Williams hits any of those 3 in his career.
And the thing is, it's getting real scary because the problem is now there aren't a lot of other quarterbacks who have anything to their resumes. Because like Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl, Lamar hasn't won a Super Bowl, Burrow hasn't won a Super Bowl. So like we look at these names and we're like, well, Jalen has won a Super Bowl.
And he got a Super Bowl MVP.
And a Super Bowl MVP. I'm not the kind of person to say, oh, well, that automatically makes him a better player than Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But we kind of have to start having these conversations about kind of the guys who were in that middling. Like you said, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud.
I think he's in that tier.
Yeah, dude. He's like, if anything, he's probably at the top of that tier now because he's won a Super Bowl. That's something none of those guys have even done, even gotten to a Super Bowl. So
I disagree that he's on top of that list, but I cannot. What he showed me that game and really this season, especially from that turning point, especially with the drama between AJ Brown and him, him and Nick Sirianni were able to ride that ship and really set the tone for that second half. Regardless of, I think Saquon and that defense are the driving factors. Credit where credit is due. I think he's definitely in that tier, like we said, with Dak Prescott, with CJ Stroud, with Jordan Love, with Justin Herbert, who's for me at the bottom of that list without having any playoff success.
Jared Goff. And people were mad. People would have been mad at me earlier in the season when I said that I would have rather had Jalen Hurts than Jared Goff. But Jalen Hurts has now won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. And
Jalen Hurts made the plays when it mattered the most. That was my biggest problem with Jared Goff. Jalen Hurts did it. So I don't know. That's my argument. But
I feel you.